Today, I am once again talking about iDubbbz. Thank you for Twitter for filling my feed full of posts about the video I'm about to talk about, as I would have never known if I had to search his name up myself that he uploaded again. Make sure to follow me on Twitter, as I'm active on there a bit, and make sure to like and subscribe. More videos and projects are coming out soon. I have a bunch of ideas. Also, before we go further into this video, if you haven't watched my last video on iDubbbz, make sure to go watch it as well. If you want to get caught up completely and fully informed, make sure to check it out. iDubbbz has now came out with another video titled I Miss the Old iDubbbz in quotes. In this video, he goes on to talk more about him changing and some more stuff that we will talk about in this video. I want to surprise y'all with what he has to say in this video.
I felt like if I changed my content over time, that people would see that as a reflection of who I am and what I value. But I'm starting to realize that that is a very weak and passive way to, run my channel and live my life. So I think it's, if I'm gonna have the balls to go to Tana's fan meetup and say slurs at her and then make a video about how it's okay to say slurs, I think I should have the balls to make an apology video and take accountability for the mistakes I've made. So that's what this video is.
At least he admits it was an awful approach. I truly was so curious at the time of why none of his videos were really good anymore and why he was on a decline. I was also curious when the next bad unboxing, content cop, or Kickstarter crap was. Also, the content cop with Tana's whole point was to expose her for over-exaggerating and lying in her videos. Did you forget what the point of the content cop was?
I've realized that I need to be crystal clear about what I believe, so there's no room for ambiguity. I am responsible for creating a lot of hurtful and damaging content on this channel, and I've also created a culture of apathy and a lot of cruelty as well. Some of the videos I've made have been very not edgy. I don't think they some of these videos were edgy. I think they were just outright cruel. So I don't want people to get it confused about where I stand. I have made some cruel, hurtful content, and I need to acknowledge that, and I'm really sorry that it's taken me this long to acknowledge it. The content I'm talking about specifically are content cop videos and videos where I was just generally criticizing people for very lackluster reasons, and obviously didn't have any accountability online whatsoever on my end. I was morally grandstanding and acting as if I am any better than any of these people that I was making content cop videos on, and I'm not. I'm a human, I'm a real human who makes mistakes, and I make a different set of mistakes than the people I was making videos on, but it doesn't matter. I don't think anyone deserves that level of cruelty or hate. It's also indoctrinated a lot of people into thinking that this is an okay way to behave, and it's not. It's super irresponsible and shitty.
I don't really think most, if any, of his old content was cruel, and you were better than these people by a long shot. The content cops I remember the most were the Jinx one, which he was a reaction YouTuber who mostly sat in the corner for most of the video and didn't say much, and the Tana one. Those I remember the best, and either way, it's not like the internet isn't cruel to this day. To be honest, I think the internet is far worse now than it's ever been. You have people getting harassed and losing their jobs over some things that they say on the internet. That would have not happened back then. It's not like you've done truly anything that bad. I've seen people go through way worse on the internet, just like I said before, with people losing their jobs over what they say, and just how awful the internet is now. The internet back then was more tame, I feel. And those weren't cruel. I don't think any of your content cops had the intention of being, per se, cruel. Edgy, sure, which I think is fine, but cruel is a bit much, and it's a bit more of an extreme word to describe those videos. It's like you've forgotten the point of those videos as well. Content cops were literal exposed videos to show how content creators were bad. Yes, they were going to damage people's channels and images, and rightfully so, as they were doing something that needed to be checked. Another thing you could add is the Kickstarter crabs. That series could still hold up to this day. I think most of his old content would, or at least the series, like the idea of the series could hold up today. People have been eager for another content cop for a while now, and those type of videos are more popular now than ever. You have people like me, Turkey Tom, and a bunch of other YouTubers who make long expose videos, and iDubbbz can do it so much better by doing the skits, the comedy, and everything, as we've seen before. So much money, respect, and views could be gotten with these videos and ideas. He needs to make a content cop on like Dream or Logan Paul or someone else controversial like that. Content cops with the humor, the sketches, as well as the exposés were some of the peak entertainment on this website. People were afraid to have videos like these on them. He also talks about in this clip creating a culture. The internet was already like this before your content cops. There's literal Gmod servers in other video games, and just there's so many examples of how the internet before you did your stuff was far more toxic and did far worse than what you did. You had an idea, which was Content Cop, that was super good and original, and ran with it, and you got to where you are now. These people that you're referring to that are in this culture were going to be in it anyway. You just got their attention and they liked you. There's people on Twitter, video games, and other online places that act just like this, if not worse, that don't even know who you are. You don't need to denounce your old content or how you were. No one else has done this. Just like I put in my last video, everyone looks back at these memories fondly. The people like anything for views and Max Mofo, and even Filthy Frank himself looks back at those moments fondly, and you're the only one that thinks of them negatively. iDubbbz, that content is the good old days, and you are hating on it. If you spend your whole time regretting and hating what you did before, even though that it was pretty great, you're not going to get anywhere. And look at your content now, it's proof of that. The only videos to do good are the documentaries. Why can't you look back and be happy? It really makes me sad he doesn't appreciate those times. Because what's he going to be proud of at the end of his time on YouTube or just at the end of his life? What is he going to be proud of if he hates everything that made him so great? To be honest, I'm surprised the Sam Hyde documentary is still up or even posted in the first place on his channel. And the last content cop you posted was 5 years ago. And it's the Rice Gum one if I'm right. Rice Gum, Keemstar, and Tana, and all the other ones have moved on and are not really affected by these anymore. And in some instances, these videos help them understand what they did wrong. Example would be Tana, as she agreed with you on your content cop. Stop apologizing. And at the end of the clip, are you saying it's not okay to have edgy humor or expose people of their wrongdoings?
I am very insecure about my ability to create interesting content or like entertain. It's gotten better over the years, but it's something that I have struggled with constantly. And it's one of the reasons why I, kept making this hurtful content. I ended up pivoting it into other things because I felt bad about it, like innately. But it's still something that I struggle with, and I don't want you to interpret that as an excuse, but I hope that that is relatable to other creators who maybe struggle with the same thing. I'm not confident in my ability to entertain, and I think if I had to rely on my personality to entertain people, that I wouldn't have any amount of success, and that is really hard to come to terms with.
So what you're saying is you put on a character. A lot of people do. Filthy Frank, Sam Hyde, and others put on a character, and that's completely fine. And it's important to entertain and be interesting in videos so you can succeed. But what you're doing now is the complete opposite. And to be honest, if we want to talk about entertaining, you're simply not anymore. You should worry about it now more than ever, as your content is in the last few years, has been a steep decline. To be honest, I don't know if he's entirely telling the truth. In his old videos, he was so confident and smiling and having a good time in those, and now he's just there, not really smiling anymore, and it shows no more confidence.
I was being very bigoted in a lot of my videos, and I justified it because, I didn't think it was too serious, and I thought that people were going to see that I had good intentions, but that's so silly, Casual racism is still racism. Casual bigotry is still bigotry. And, I said a lot of things that I look back at and I cringe now, and I'm like, that is an awful thing to say. it doesn't matter what my intentions are. Like, if I'm hurting people, I'm hurting people. And, who the fuck knows what my intentions are? Like, sarcasm and like jokiness and jokey tone only goes so far, especially over the internet. Even in real life, that's like an impossible thing to know with 100% certainty.
You know, comedy isn't for everyone. Everyone's not going to laugh at the same jokes. Some people aren't going to find your jokes funny, some people are going to be offended by them, and some people are going to laugh. I can say something without meaning to offend someone and still offend someone. Edgy humor is a thing, and it can be super funny and entertaining. It was, and it still is. You're acting like making jokes is the worst thing to do. Like, saying a joke is equivalent to me doing something bad to someone because of their race or religion, which simply isn't true. They are two completely separate and different things.
I've just always had this dumb philosophy that I'm not responsible for, my audience and how they behave beyond what content I put out. And that's stupid, and it's led to a lot of hate and a lot of bad outcomes. And I just want to make it clear that I am absolutely responsible for my audience. And I guess if you want to, look out for people who are red flags, it's definitely people who had my mentality that say, I'm not responsible for what my audience does.
This part really shocked me to hear. In iDubbbz's video, iDubbbz Compliance Sex Workers, or however the title is, he says, if you're mad at my husband doing adult content, I'm not your daddy. Also, how are you at all responsible for your audience? You cannot control people who watch your videos. This sounds like his puppet master mentality is breaking through again. And I guess I'm a red flag because, hey, the person watching this, I can't control you. I can say, hey, don't attack this person, don't say something to this person, don't go message them. But you are at your own free will. I do not control you, and I'm not responsible for what you do. I have no idea where iDubbbz is getting that impression, and it completely blew my mind to hear him say that. Also, why do you keep looking over? Is your husband staring at you while you make this? Is he the one that put you up to making this video? To be honest, I'm surprised he didn't make the video with his husband, like they're holding each other's hands and they're both crying because of the content cops that they made.
I know that this apology isn't enough. I've clearly done a lot of damage. These videos have been up for a long time and have accumulated millions of views. I shouldn't be able to just make an apology video and walk away from it. This is something that I should live the rest of my life with, and I expect to. I've profited off of this bigoted content for years, and I've made a successful career out of it, and that's not right. I think that this is only a step in the right direction, and I know that a lot more needs to be done to even approach a life that I would think would be like acceptable. I am running ads on this video, and any revenue generated from this video I'm going to match and donate to an organization that would have been particularly affected by the type of rhetoric that I've been spewing on this channel. And again, this isn't the end of what I'm doing, this is just the start. I don't feel like a lot of this content represents me as a person, at least not anymore. There was a time where it probably perfectly represented me because I was a nasty, apathetic, insecure person. Now that I don't feel like it represents me and I want to distance myself from it and keep it from, indoctrinating more people, I'd like to unlist the videos so that people, can access them still for whatever, purposes they might want to do that for. But it's not being proliferated on the website. I feel like that's the best solution, at least for the time being. And for anyone who liked those videos, I want this video to be an example and a lesson for you. You can like content, but you can also think that it's irresponsible and it's hurting other people. So just tap into that part of your brain that's saying like, oh, okay, it's probably not that important that this video stays online because truthfully, I've seen it, I've experienced the content, but it's done a lot of damage. We can just let it go.
I laughed when he brought up the charity and all that. It just seems so weird and sad. He also does say in this clip that he's unlisting all the content cops. You can still put ads on an unlisted video, or at least the unlisted video can still be monetized, so you can possibly still make money off of it. Most of those videos are probably limited or age restricted, so maybe not, but there's still a possibility. I said in my last video if he was truly sorry to delete all the content cops he made and any other video offensive, but I really don't want that piece of history gone. The part where he says liking the content is okay, but making it is bad does not make sense at all. That whole segment was just really confusing and an awful argument.
I'm sorry to everyone that I made content cop videos on. I still don't like the majority of you, and that's fine, but I can recognize that you did not deserve the hate and harassment that I sent your way. I particularly want to apologize to Tana. Tana, I'm sorry. I should have never made that video. I harassed Tana in person and then harassed her online, and that's deplorable behavior. It's so stupid. I'm also sorry to all the black viewers and minority groups who had to put up with that video and put up with, the phrases. I said either it's all okay or none of it's okay. And that's just so dangerous and stupid. I have made content that I'm proud of over the years. It hasn't been as consistent as maybe I'd like it to have been, but there is a lot of content that I think had a net positive on the world, and I'm going to strive to continue on that trend. But again, I'm absolutely going to continue to make mistakes, but I want the mistakes to be a lot smaller and a lot less serious.
What made iDubbbz so different and special is that he would do whatever he needed to get the point across, and that Tana Content Cop is a perfect example. Everything he did was to expose her and her wrongdoings. It's also the only one he went in person to do something for, and he did all that so he could prove a point. And he didn't harass her. I don't think saying 2 words then leaving should be labeled harassment. And how was your either it's all okay or none of it's okay argument dangerous or stupid? And I hate that he says something like that but then doesn't add on to it. It just makes it look like you aren't confident in what you're saying. No one hates you for your past, they hate you for your present actions. Also, what content were you actually proud of? Is it a series or what? And how were you going to continue that? And what was exactly the net positive? I'm very curious about that part.
I also want to give some clarity to the post-fight speech that I gave. I mean, it wasn't a speech. It was a phrase. I was like,
I know I'm not everyone's cup of tea, but I really do appreciate the support, and thank you for coming.
That was addressing the people over the years that I neglected and I left behind. The people whose feelings I, didn't take into consideration. Those are the people who I was addressing as, I know I'm not everyone's cup of tea. Anyone who thinks that I should be shouting the N-word from the rooftops, I don't want to be your cup of tea.
If you don't know, people were saying before that the statement at the event was about the Froggy Fresh drama, and you should have made that a lot more clear at the event that it wasn't about that. Also, you neglected and hurt your husband a lot, as we've seen through the Discord messages. And there's no way that they're fake, because why else would your husband block me on Twitter over them? And you hurt and neglected Airsoft Fatty just recently. There's a clip going around where Airsoft Fatty was stressed out on stream and talking about how Ian ignored one of his texts, just asking for like a shout out or something for his streams. And you act like all your old content was just you saying the N-word. The whole thing about your old content, it's not all just about the use of the N-word and all. It's way more than that. We want content cops, Kickstarter craps, bad unboxings, content with actual heart, care, emotion, confidence, and entertainment in them. You don't realize how boring you are now. You don't realize what made your videos so good. That insecurity you had made you one of the best content creators out there. It's so weird how a insecurity or something of the sort can make someone so much better.
Now I want to talk about events and situations that have happened over the past 5 years of my life that have led me to the place I'm at now. One year I was at a convention and a bunch of fans were, wanting pictures, and this particular fan came up to me and said, I know you probably don't like transgender people, but can I, get a picture? That smacked me in the face. I was like, oh, holy shit. Why would you think that? But I mean, it was fairly obvious. I was being cruel, hateful, bigoted, and being very uncaring about people's feelings. That is a very fair assessment to make. I was giving this person bad vibes, and I think I've given a lot of people extremely bad vibes. Another event that was very important for me to experience was I went on a boxing podcast. I was basically like trying to walk back my Tana content cop. I was still very like insecure and uncomfortable with the fact that I made that video, and but I was still coping. You'll see me struggle in this clip to, say that it was wrong.
So I just wanted to let you talk on that, right? Because obviously using the N-word is definitely frowned upon by a lot of people, especially by a non-African American, but I was just curious.
That was a very weird video because I wanted to like criticize her for her like sort of flagrant use of it. I've been pretty flagrant about it too, not in the same way. I thought there was a message to be shared there, and I don't think it was particularly. It was okay in criticizing her, but I think I probably wasn't the person to deliver the message, if that makes sense. There was a message that I was trying to put out there, and like, I'm not really the person to put out that message. I don't regret making the video. I think, there's bits and pieces to take from it that I think are valuable, but, I probably wouldn't make it these days. I'm very grateful to those guys and how they broached the subject because it didn't put me on the defensive. It just made me realize, like, I'm stupid. I'm stupid, and I really need to, like, acknowledge these things. Like, what am I doing? I'm still trying to make excuses for myself and, like, why I made that video. It's like, it was a dumb idea. I harassed someone. I was saying slurs, and I was trying to justify it all. A very big thing that has sort of altered my view on all of this is just the amount of hate and harassment my wife Anissa has received over the years. She's had to deal with it from the beginning of our relationship, and I have done a horrible job at acknowledging her and her feelings for it. A lot of the time I just thought that was her problem, or that was other people's problem. Like, it's not my problem that you're getting hate and harassment. And it's like, no, it absolutely is. That's the culture that I cultivated, and I, didn't do anything to change that. Over the years it's changed a little bit, but I don't think I've still fully acknowledged how responsible I am for the amount of harassment that Anissa has had to deal with. And this year I decided to speak more candidly and be more open about who I am as a person, and to speak on my life a little bit more. And I did that on Anthony Padilla's podcast. These are the people that I'm attracting. These are the people that I'm entertaining. Like, I need to reevaluate things. They're relating and enjoying this content for a reason, and that's not maybe the same reason that I'm trying to make. I had a very Wild West mentality when it came to online behavior. Like, people are going to do what they want to do. People are going to say what they want to say. And I can pretty much do the same because it's the internet. But I think you have to be a lot more responsible. If you guys are at all interested in how I've arrived here, that video gives, a good bit of context and talks about some of my life a little bit. There is a clip from this interview that's been floating around the internet, and it's me calling my fans antisocial and basement dwellers, and I was like, I didn't like, interacting with my fans. I just want to be clear, like, that was my realization. I think a lot of people are like, of course that happened, is because you were creating that culture and you were attracting those people. And it's like, yes, I know. I know now. I didn't know before. It was my realization upon, meeting more and more fans that I was like, oh shit, you guys are struggling. It was easy for me to identify them struggling when they were outside of my body. But the antisocial basement-dwelling incel that was inside here, I couldn't acknowledge that. I couldn't recognize that. So I needed the mirror to be held up to me.
I don't think he's ever said anything about transgender people, so I don't know where that person would get that. Also, if they can't understand if you're joking or not, that's most of the time their fault. I've made jokes on here that have gone over people's heads completely, and you can't please everyone. Look at Mr. Beast. He gets hate and called the Antichrist for doing what he does. And the first podcast clip, if you're saying that someone else should have delivered the message or done the video, I don't think that's true at all. What you said at the beginning of your statement was true, your reasons for doing it and such. The video wasn't a dumb idea, you're not a harasser, and to be honest, the less you talk about your wife, the better. The less you're on the internet, the less your wife will be harassed. And that's not a threat, that's just telling the truth. And to be honest, that's just the internet. Good and bad people get harassed. You can't stop it, really. You can block people, of course, but in the end, there's always more people coming and harassing you. And saying don't harass us will only make people want to bother you more, and it's another meme in the end. You can't change people like how you want, and you need to realize that. Changing what content you make doesn't change much either. The internet is full of people who act like you say you cultivated, without even knowing who you are and what you do. The reason those people act like that can stem from personal life issues that have nothing to do with internet. The internet is just odd and crazy in some places. He's blaming stuff that isn't his fault on himself, adding more unneeded stress onto him and unneeded blame. With what you're saying, it sounds like your next video is going to be Content Cuck, Filthy Frank, and how he cultivated a bunch of kids to say the N-word, and how he's one of the worst influences on a generation. I wouldn't be too surprised if that happens. And not all of your viewers are basement dwellers and such. Some of them were normal people. And I say were because he doesn't have much of a fan base left.
In closing, I want to say that I have always thought that I was an empathetic person, because I thought, well, I get angry, I get sad, of course I got empathy. Seems easy, right? Empathy. I definitely have that. There were moments where like a dog would die in a film and I'd cry. So it's like, of course I have empathy. But I never did. I think only in these past couple of years have I gained the ability empathy. And I'm very ashamed to admit that. It sounds really pathetic to say at the age of 32 I've acquired empathy. But I have, and I've realized it because I just like can't help myself but like feel for other people's pain and suffering now. I'm still not perfect. I think that is my empathy meter's only maybe like a quarter of the way filled up potentially, but it's at least there. And I just want you guys to know that you can unlock ability empathy if you experience more life. It might take you getting hurt a little bit, but it's worth it. It is so worth it. So thank you for watching, everyone. I do want to create more regular content, and I don't want to just have the next 5 videos be apologies. So I have uploaded a squirrel video on my second channel if you want to watch that. I guess as one final thing, I just want to thank everyone who's given me the space and the compassion to grow as a person, because it's taken longer than it probably should have. I appreciate everyone, and I think most importantly, I appreciate my wife, Anissa. She has been insanely compassionate and helpful and patient in allowing me to grow over the years, and has legitimately encouraged me to be a better person, and not a better person in just like the iDubbbz becoming woke kind of way. She was the one who said that I should try this boxing thing. I would have never done that on my own because I was insecure and I was pathetic. I did this, and I am so glad I did. It's been amazing. So Anissa, I love you. You're amazing. Right now you're streaming. But bon voyage, toodles.
Guys, he's an empath now, so he can't be funny. And I laughed when he mentioned that he made another squirrel video. He's so funny for that. I think your husband sabotaged you and just like seeing you embarrass yourself. Since she's the one that got you into boxing, Mr. Owen too, he talks about how he's so happy that he changed, but doesn't look happy at all. But that was the end of the video. It was pretty sad and embarrassing. A lot of people are positive in the comments, so I only got like 3 good comments. Really lame and corny because I bet he deleted a bunch of the comments. The top comment with 51,000 likes said, "I never would have guessed that his final content cop would have been on himself." This one person quoted saying, "If I had to rely on my personality to entertain people, I wouldn't have any amount of success." Then they say, "This is the most untrue statement I've ever heard. I remember watching the edgy content that you made largely because of how fun you seem to have while making them." And that's a big point that I didn't even add on here, I don't think, is that he looks like he's having fun in all these videos. He looks so happy and confident and such. And versus what he makes now, he just doesn't look like that at all anymore. Now I'm going to show you Twitter's reaction. The main reason I think he's been deleting comments is because of the different reactions Twitter versus the comments are. Billy Mac Show says, "Guy got made fun of on the internet for 3 weeks and is now having an existential crisis." He also tweeted again saying, "iDubbbz gains career by making fun of people on the internet. iDubbbz gets made fun of on the internet. iDubbbz realizes being made fun of on the internet isn't fun." There summed up the video for you. Keemstar said, "Alex Wasabi beat this man so bad he's apologizing for his own existence." That was a really good one, I'm not gonna lie. Nicholas Diorio said, "I always thought Ian should just be honest about the direction of his content and where he is in life. Guess I was wrong." That was pathetic. Willie Mac Show tweets again, "This guy lost all of his self-esteem. What happened to his confidence?" And that's really true. And this is another good point that I'd like to bring up, and thanks to this person, Orange Lord or TV Orange Man. He says, "Ian iDubbbz Joma," I think that's how you say, I don't know, on behalf of his handler Anissa, has decided to remove his past cruel videos because they were negative and harmful, saying he's changed his ways. Meanwhile, this is one of his most latest project videos. I suppose jokes about people with fetal alcohol syndrome remain on the table." And it shows a clip of him making fun of like fetal alcohol syndrome and like what people look like if they have it.
That's fetal alcohol syndrome face. "Hey guys, quit picking on me."
This made a really good point, and as I called out in the last video, he says, "Oh, I'm trying to change and be a better person," but in that same video that's like 30 minutes long, he makes fun of and is just rude to, one, the person that he dealt wrong, and he like fat shames and makes fun of Wings and Boogie. And to be honest, I don't really care if you do all that, but if you're gonna say, "I'm the better guy now, guys, I've changed, trust me, gang," if you're gonna say all that, then at least keep up with it. You couldn't even keep up with it for one video in less than 30 minutes. Dramaalert tweeted out, "Leafy called iDubbbz a B-word for not being able to handle a few months of hate." And it shows the clip here.
I don't feel like it represents
I was getting hate for like 5 years. Keemstar was getting hate for like 12 years. What the f happened to this guy?
me, and I want to distance myself from it and keep it from,
This dude is a bitch, dude.
you know, indoctrinating more people. I'd like to unlist the videos so
Dude, it's all of his wife, dude, actually. I take it back.
that people,
And Leafy makes a good point. The thing is now, a sorry does not really matter anymore. I don't see how saying sorry about all these videos makes anything better. Boogie2988 says, "Y'all think the beating Jordy gave me was bad? Check out the beating iDubbbz is giving to his career." And to be honest, he's really right. This is destroying his career little by little. Unless he comes back with some really good content, there's probably not much left of iDubbbz. The Actman tweets, "Hearing iDubbbz condemn his old content got videos is effing wild. Man was one of the few that had the balls to do whatever it took to call out people on YouTube. And now he apologizes for what?" Marcus tweets out, "iDubbbz is in the cuck chair. It's so over." And it's even in a corner of a room, as you can see. Chris the Narc tweets, "Does Keemstar Leafy is here and Rice Gum get an apology or just Tana for goofing on her? Bro, this video didn't need to be made." And yeah, that's really odd because I guess he only likes Tana now. Because I guess she changed for the best. I don't really know what she does now. But how come she's the only one that gets a apology and a name drop? You couldn't do that for any of the other people just because you still don't like them, I bet. You still don't like Leafy. You haven't blocked on Twitter. You probably have Keemstar blocked. I'm pretty sure you do at least. You know what I mean? It's obvious to see who he doesn't like and who he still wishes bad upon. Dr. Comfort tweets 2 pictures. One's a picture of iDubbbz in the apology video, and then the second is a lyric from a Kanye West song, Bring Me Down. Says, and the lyric is, "Dog, if I was you, I'd kill myself." And I honestly feel that. Kavos also tweets, "I'm sick of iDubbbz telling us how much he's changed and constantly explaining it. If you have changed, then fine, but stop going on about it and expecting everyone to love you for it." And I do feel the same exact way. I know that his content probably isn't going to get better or anything, but please shut up. Okay? We get it. You no funny no more. Also his crazy tweets saying, at iDubbbz, be the first guest on our podcast, which I think he's talking about the TBH podcast with a Moist Critical clone, Dolan Dark, Nerd City, which hasn't uploaded in forever, and himself. He says, we are the same age and we made the same content. It'll be an interesting conversation and I will be harsh but fair. Your channel, my channel, our podcast, I don't really care. Let me know. If it was going to be on a certain person's channel and not the podcast channel, then it should be on Colossal's because he hasn't uploaded in forever. That's all of the Twitter reactions I have. To end off the video, personally, I hated that video, and I thought it was just sad to watch. We'll never get the old iDubbbz back. I'm very curious to see what his next video will be. He said he wants to do more things like how he did in the past that were positive. Maybe he returns with Kickstarter craps? I don't really know. Those could have been positive, I feel like. He could do all the same old content he did, or at least the same series. He could still do content cops, as those would be like the exposed videos people do now, but better with skits and such. Kickstarter craps could still do good to this day, as it's something people haven't really done besides himself, and it could show off scams and bad products, and overall, those videos were just interesting and good. He would never do another bad unboxing though, as it would just be memes about him and his wife the whole time, that he'd not be able to handle. And honestly, it looks like the whole video's purpose and why it even happened was because he couldn't take the heat online. As I think it's actually his first drama. It'll be more interesting to see the future, but at the same time it's sad that we'll probably never get anything good again. Let me know what y'all thought about this in the comments down below, and let me know what you think iDubbbz's next videos or projects will be. Also, I just finished The Last Saints Row, so the next video, which should be an episode of my series, will be a different game. I know some people don't like Saints Row 4 or Saints Row Gap, but personally I liked them. They had some flaws and could have done better in certain areas, but overall I think they're very overhated. I personally recommend Saints Rows 1 through Gap. Might not like 4 or Gap, but they're still really good. Leave your guesses on what game or game series you think I'm going to be playing next, and also leave recommendations for games you'd like to see me play. Make sure to like and subscribe and comment, and with all that said, I'm PERK30, and
Either all of them are okay, or none of them are okay.
You're a whore. At last, I am surrounded by people who get me. People who understand me, and people who think like me. Man, this feels good.
In conclusion, is the perfect example of what pussy does to a motherfucker.